Okay. Right, so what have we done? We've done console, we've done monitor. Right, let's do buffer, okay? So buffer logging is disabled out of the box, right? And the buffer logging, again, remember, it uses RAM on the local iOS device. So as we're writing logs, the whole idea for buffering is that we can keep historical logs. So these logs that we have here on this screen here for console logging, you can see that sooner or later they're going to go over the top of the screen. You know, they're going to be wrapped. We're not going to be able to see those anymore. So our historical capability goes out the window. And things like when we telnet onto the router, obviously they're equally gone, you know, so they can expire. A buffer log goes a little bit, gets us in a nicer space where it will save those logs for as long as there is buffer space available, and then it just starts to wrap them. So it will fill the log up to 4096 bytes or 4 kilobytes. It will use that, and then when it gets to like 4097 bytes, it will start eating away at the 4000 at the first byte that it wrote out. Okay, so it just wraps it around. So let's turn on buffer logging and let's see how that looks. So the command for this is logging buffered, and then you set the severity level. So we're going to set the severity level to be the same as the others at debugging. Okay, logging buffered debugging. Now let's have a quick look at here now. So we say, so now we've got buffer logging level debugging. It's not logged any messages whatsoever yet. And the default size is 4K, like I said. You can change that. So we can say the buffer size is going to be, let's say 16K, something like that. Yeah, you can say it like that. And then when you do a show log again, and then you'll see that is increased. Logging buffer 16K. Okay. So then let's just create a new interface now. We'll call it loopback interface 13. Give it an IP address 13.13.13.13. 255.255.250. And we'll see the console log there. We still haven't seen the buffer log yet, so let's have a look at that. Let's do a show log. Whoops, do show log. And then at the bottom there we've got log buffer 16K, and then there's the same line that we saw on the console. So there was the console log, and there's the buffer log, exactly the same. Okay. Okay, so that's that simple enough. And like I say, the buffer logs are held in RAM, so when you lose the iOS device, you lose all of those buffers. So what's the next best thing to buffers? And that is offsite logs. All right. So we've got the iOS device there connected to this LAN and this great syslog server over here. And the syslog server is running on a disk. Yeah, it's got disconnected to it. So the syslogs can be written to disk. So it's non-volatile, yeah. So whereas the iOS device, when that's rebooted, you burn the buffer log. It would be much better and much more useful for you historically if you can go back in time by off-siting those logs into this syslog server. So let's have a look at syslog's logging now, and I've got a SolarWinds syslog server sat here. So we'll be able to export those logs to that syslog server, and you'll be able to see that happening, and you'll be able to look at the logs. Okay, so let's crack on. So we've got syslog server here. It says it's enabled, but there's no syslog logging is enabled, but I've not set up any remote server yet. So here's how we do that. So logging host is the keyword for showing the server. If you just do a question mark there, you can see hosts, set syslog server IP address and parameters. So I'll say logging host, and I'll give it the IP address of my syslog server, which is 192.168.1.34. Now when I do a show log, I'll be able to see that logging to 192.168.1.34. You see that? And it's just using the standard UDP port 514, which is what syslog runs on. You can see this trap logging level informational there. I mentioned this earlier, but when we're talking about trap with syslog, we're not talking about SNMP. We are talking about syslog information. All right, so it's logging at informational level. So now let's create a new loopback interface. We'll call it 14. Let's give it an IP address 14.14.14.14 255.255.255.0. We see this. There's the console log. But look at this one here now. We see logging host stop logging to host 192.168.1.34. So the key thing to take away from this is syslogging isn't running until it's needed. Okay, and we've just said that it is needed. We've configured it with the host, and now we've sent our first syslog message to that host. So let's just hop over to the syslog server and have a look at that message coming in. Here we are. This is my Windows service, Windows server running with the SolarWinds syslog service on it, and you can see there's the logging start stop message that we saw earlier. We can see the line protocol coming up for loopback 14, and you can see that that's timestamped as well, 12:30 at night, and it really is. And you can see the priority level is informational. You see these ones are logged at notice level. The thing with severity levels is it logs anything at or below that severity. So if we just hop back to the router here and just do a in fact, let's not do that. Let's just do logging syslog. Sorry, logging. What am I doing? Buff. You can see all these severity levels here. Now, informational is level 6. So anything 6 or below will be sent. So notifications 5, warnings 4, errors 3, critical 2, and alerts 1 will all be sent if we set the severity level to 6. But what won't be sent is debugging, which is level 7. So anything at or below that severity level is sent. Now, if you remember, in fact, let's just hop back here. So the priority level of notice here is here, notification. Yeah. So notification level messages are being sent even though they are at severity level 5, because that's one less than the informational level. Okay, so that's syslogging, and we've covered off all the different logging types now. So I guess that covers off our tech video today. If you guys want to give me some comments or any feedback, I would really appreciate it. Hop onto the website, look through the articles, and feedback to those as well. We'd love to hear from you, and thank you very much for your patience, and I'll see you next time.